This is post-edit Dagger letting you know that this is essentially turned into kind of like a tribute video, partially to Janice Burgess and Akira Toriyama. But Akira Toriyama is more linked to the Year of the Dragon piece, so if you'd like to skip ahead to where I am actually drawing, I'll post that timestamp here. Thanks. Hi, it's Dagger. I said I'd finish the Year of the Dragon piece in February, but it's August now, and a million things have happened since then. Every time I try to include everything, I get stuck. But we move, so here's every other thing at least. I'm 30 now, which is a bit under half of the average lifespan for a human. Age doesn't scare me, but I do stare into the distance a bit when I say 30 out loud.
You need to grow up!
Grow up? I'm 38 years old!
I feel as if I've not experienced a whole lot and have spent my life at a desk. I think that as artists we're like, oh, this extended time sitting will make our work better. But as evidenced by artists like Takiko Inoue, you kinda have to step away and live a little in order to portray those authentic experiences more authentically. I'm working on it very slowly, as I still very much like to be inside. It's where my desk and my weights are. But at least I know that if anybody has depicted this particular experience of being oblivious to the passing of time in conjunction to your relationship to others and being blindsided by your lofty goals, it's Tatsuki Fujimoto. I read Look Back a couple of months ago and see that it's getting a film adaptation, which is probably going to make me sob again. The manga's about two wannabe mangaka and their relation to each other over time. That is the barest of bones that I will get without spoiling too much. I didn't really have the bits of shystiness that the main character had. I'm largely a solitary person, and art in and of itself is usually a solitary endeavor. Being solitary in this case is not a flex. The experience of drawing side by side with another artist, with your friends, forms key memories for me that I hold very close to my heart, and it does make me nostalgic for those times. Sharing that mutual love you have for craft also folds into developing the love you have for each other. For me, it comes from a love of seeing people excel and be competent in their skills. I grew up in a household where doing your craft well was exemplified, as well as taking joy in your craft, and I feel like artists can miss out on that additional joy by not inviting someone into that time chamber with them. It makes me think of other artists that have dedicated their lives to their craft, which was to some points to their detriment, and maybe the friends that they forgot along the way. Around the time that I originally was writing the words for the Year of the Dragon video, both Janice Burgess and Akira Toriyama passed within one day of each other in March. Of the shows Burgess wrote, you may know Lil Bill, The Winx Club, and The Backyardigans. The Backyardigans won 8 Daytime Emmy Awards, and she won the Emmy for Outstanding Special Class Animated Program in 2008. It was refashioned from a pilot episode concept called Me and My Friends. A cool note is that a lot of the people from Backyardigans worked on Winx Club too. She passed on March 2nd of breast cancer shortly after turning 72. She didn't start in her executive position. At one point, she worked craft services at a TV station. By the time she got to be an executive at Nick, she'd worked at a wide spread of jobs that folded into executive producing. I think that's also what makes good bosses or good leaders. If they've done what they're asking you to do, they know typically how to guide you in doing it. In pouring experience into others, you reap double of what you've sown. In her words, she wanted to bring some of that fantastical nature of movies like Die Hard and Terminator 2 to kids. And you know what, Mrs. Burgess, you sure did. I think around the time that I was watching Backyardigans, I was about 10, and I did kind of stay glued to the TV some days because there was another show that I didn't want to miss. Dragon Ball started airing in 2001, but I may have actually caught it in 2004 once it started showing at night on Saturdays. I had no real concept that this was an anime. It was just another cartoon to me, but it was fantastical, with a boy flying on a cloud, smacking people with a bow staff, that also turned into a giant monkey under the moon. A were-monkey? I loved werewolves, so this was the next best thing. I didn't start looking at the manga at the local library till I was older, and feel like I've read more DBZ from Shonen Jump magazines in my preteen years. But there's magic in the cover art for the first series in Z, the framing literally being a window into that world. I fell out of it once they'd started airing Z and fell back in probably around the Trunk Saga, but I do remember recreating Dragon Ball poses on printer paper, drawing Gohan because he was fucking cool in his Saiyaman outfit, and trying to yap about it to anyone who would listen. They would not. More related to this piece, the way that the dragons were rendered in that universe were awe-inspiring. Shenron in the opening being summoned gives a feeling I can only describe as heavy metal. Both Toriyama and Burgess's works invite you into experiencing their worlds and believing in it. They inspired awe and wonder in their audience of kids everywhere. Toriyama passed on March 1st. This is where I talk about taking care of yourself, yes, but I'm not doing it in a way that says, Akira could have avoided all of this if he... No. I just know that some of you art gremlins don't stand up from your desk for hours at a time, and that is one of the ways you get blood clots, among other things. Set your reminders for water, and every 30 minutes try to move about if you can't take a short walk around the block. Your joints will thank you for it. I have a standing desk at home and at work, and it's a godsend. They sell standing desk converters for this, but before I even had a special desk, I put my stuff up on cardboard boxes, because it's all I had. I find that comic artists and animators accept very readily that they will not sleep, that they will probably not move to eat, as they usually tend to be neurodivergent and get locked in. This is your wake-up call to unlock. I don't think someone should be praising your work ethic, but then be mystified when you get sick because you haven't left your house and you haven't eaten regular meals within a week. During my time freelancing, I'd sometimes run into the issue of what essentially was inflammation of the tissues in my right hand, because I'd be working nonstop on several things. And my workout regimen and my cardio wasn't quite as set as I wanted it to be. I was only beginning to gamify it for motivational purposes and for working with my ADHD. Anytime I feel that pain between the fingers of my hand, I know I've pushed it too far because it's a strain injury that I originally developed from college. I wasn't taking breaks, and I was sitting for very long periods of time. Sometimes procrastinating with other illustrations and skipping meals, while trying to animate my senior thesis at the same time. Very bad. Do not do. Like, it wasn't quite carpal tunnel, but maybe it would be called arthritis. I don't know, but if I'm not doing my hand stretches and I'm stuck in claw mode over a keyboard, it flares up. I think what makes it worse is that a lot of freelance can be crunch work, so I'm not sure how you can even completely avoid those unhealthy habits. Because shit is due the next day, and if you got a slate full of changes that they want to make, well... I've come to think of it now with art that the time will pass anyway, and the art will still be there. So if you're able to, take your time. I started this piece in January, and it's finished as of August. It's in the vein of those Dragon Ball cover pieces where the characters are doing basically something unrelated to the plot, because you can draw it. No one's gonna stop you. In the story that these characters are from, called Polarity, there are no actual dragons in the story, but I could add them for the heck of it. As you've seen over the course of this video, this was drawn on sketchbook paper with color erase blue pencil, mechanical pencil, and then scanned in and cleaned and colored in Clip Studio Paint. To you, listener, thank you for listening and thank you for waiting for this video. I know it took a while. To Janice, Burgess, and Akira Toriyama, thank you for your outstanding work. Goodbye.
I